Let's talk a little Halifax Wanderers. Patrice Gheisar contract up, and the organization has decided not to renew it, so they will be looking for a new head coach. Jordan, did this seem like a likely thing that the two sides would part?
Yeah, I think so. I think if they didn't make a run in this playoffs, it kind of seemed like it was destined to happen. Look, Patrice Gheisar, phenomenal individual, great coach. And you look at the 3 years, of course, the first year coming into the side, they basically tied for second in points, but finished third, right? You look at Calgary and Forge were ahead of them. Okay, had a little bit of a dip last year, not making playoffs and finishing sixth. But then this year, finishing fourth, but not going further on in playoffs and losing in the first round to York United, that were in the fifth place spot. You could be good, but Halifax Wanderers and the front staff want to make this team great. They want to be there with the Forges and the Calvarys. So you look at a situation with Patrice Gheisar, at least for me, it's like, you've had a good tenure, and the 3 years have been great, but we want to take this to another level. And I think in some regards, too, Patrice could look at that situation and be like, I love Halifax. I love being a part of the Canadian Premier League. But if you have ambitions to maybe go further, there might be a new coach coming in that could bring some fresh energy.
It was great when he came on board. All the talk, of course, was the elevation of a coach from League One, and he brought a lot of players with him. And you're right, that first year, they wowed a lot of people.
Sure.
But do you think if Halifax was teetering at all, maybe they weren't quite sure if the parting of ways was going to happen, did the elimination at the hands of York United maybe push them over that edge?
I think so. Like, for me, it did. It felt like one of those situations where the 2 times they hosted a playoff game, they lost both of them under Patrice Gheisar. And this is not how I feel. These are just facts. You also think, let's dive a little bit even deeper. You're ahead twice in this game. Your team maybe has done enough to get over the line, but then you don't. Is that fully Patrice Gheisar's fault? I don't believe that. But are you still going to be judged that way? That is just football. Literally, the first person to go is going to be a manager. And I also want to say for the record, this is not Patrice Gheisar getting fired. He served his 3-year time. He served his tenure. He's just not getting re-signed as a head coach for Halifax Wanderers. And for me, I would say it was a good stint and he learned a lot. But again, if Halifax Wanderers want to go in a different direction, they have all reason to do so.
True, people do like contracts renewed, but is it also fair that it doesn't seem like this was also an emotional decision either, because we were critical post-game of his substitutions.
Yes.
Do you think they look at that and say, okay, we're also looking at some decision-making here in-game that we didn't like?
I think the cake was baked from before, but that was the icing on the cake. Personally, I have no information from who I've spoken to say that that is the truth. That's just from me looking at the season that Halifax Wanderers had, Patrice Gheisar in charge, and where this club has said they have ambitions to go. I think that he had to do something spectacular in this playoff run to maybe give himself a shot to re-throw his name into the hat. But because Halifax Wanderers bowed out in the first round, and the fact that they were up twice in that game, I think that was the icing on the cake for the decision.
So where do the Halifax Wanderers go from here? They had a veteran in Stephen Hart as their first ever head coach, and obviously they tried their hand at the rookie and Patrice Gheisar coming up, as I mentioned earlier, from League One. So what type of coach are they looking for, do you think?
It's a great question. I think the club has grown immensely from when they started in 2019, having certain players come into that club and that club culture. But you look at the stars that they have now, I think if they can really add in the offensive unit, they could really make some damage. But I think a coach that understands the league, a coach that understands the Canadian ecosystem, but then for me, a winner. Like, whoever you're bringing in now has to set the tone, because the things I love the most about Patrice, you saw him doing rondos in the beginning of the match, and he was very much a team-oriented guy. I kind of think Halifax Wanderers want to go down the route of having someone to lay down the law, to be a bit more of a full-blown leader and someone that is just can really rally the troops. And Patrice did that in a certain way, but they probably need a certain profile that could just be a bit rougher and maybe tougher. I think that's the direction that they need to go to. But who that person is, I'm sure they have some candidates, but I couldn't tell you.
All right, well, in that fifth playoff match, it was a doozy, by the way. If you tuned in for that, saw extra time, ended up going to PKs, 2 delays due to lightning. It had everything except for a Halifax win. York United moved on, and now Halifax looking for a new manager.